What if one swim could change your life?
Swimming the 23 laps that day in that 17-meter pool proved to me that I was more than what I was giving myself credit for. I think affirmed in me that if I put my mind to it, there's nothing I can't do.
For Neha, a casual dip in the pool turned into a transformative journey that redefined her own limits. From battling self-doubt to placing fourth in her very first swim race, this mom of two didn't just dive into the water, she dove into a new identity. Here's how swimming helped her unlock untapped potential and completely transform her life.
So my name is Neha Jolisani. I am 42. I grew up all over India because my dad was a pilot with the Indian Air Force. And you go to 9 different schools, you're always the new girl. That has helped define a lot of who I am because I'm really adaptive. So yeah, that's me. Oh God, I was actually never taught how to swim. My elder sister's friend used to swim, and I just kind of learned swimming watching her, and that was it.
Little did she know, those carefree days in the water were just the beginning. It would take decades, 2 children, and a life-changing swim session to awaken the swimmer inside her.
Last June, I was a much heavier person, and I think I was the heaviest I've ever been, like weight-wise, and I just decided I wanted to get back into sort of being more physical.
And she did. Neha started swimming at her local pool every day at 7 a.m., taking small steps towards her goal of being more active. As days passed, she started seeing improvements.
The first time I did 2 lengths in the same go, I was like, wow, this is it, I've peaked. And then I did 5. And then one day I think I was just really lost in my thoughts because I was thinking about work. And then when I paused, I checked my watch and I had done 23 lengths in one go. And I was like, okay, well, there is still room to peak.
That moment wasn't just about distance, it was about realizing her own strength. For Neha, those 23 laps were a turning point, the first ripple in a wave of transformation.
On the 31st of January, I had actually swum 163 days every day. It didn't matter where I was traveling, what hotel I was staying at. I would pick the hotels with the pool. It didn't matter if it was in a full Olympic or a half Olympic. I would get in, I would change the digits on my watch, and I would just swim that 1.5K every day. And I feel like showing up for myself is just a really great way of proving that I value myself as an individual, and that to me is the highest motivator. And I think that was just it for me to show up for myself.
As months went by, she kept at it. She swam when she was tired. She swam when life felt overwhelming. Day after day, lap after lap, she showed up. It wasn't easy, but Neha knew one thing. Discipline beats motivation every time. Progress wasn't about one big leap. It was about showing up consistently, no matter what.
I wasn't always like this. Swimming was a really big turning point. I started on the 1st of June last year. At the end of September, I came across something called the 75 Hard. It's a checklist of things you have to do every day. I've done it on days that have not been great, but I firmly believe what James Clear says, a bad workout is better than no workout. And so you just show up for yourself. There was a point in time when I was doing a high intensity workout and I had to do push-ups. And I don't know if it was sweat or tears that was falling on my mat because it was really hard. When I started to do it, it snowballed into being this whole different person who was so committed to health and well-being and eating well and trying to be a good influence on people around me. I think that it was the swimming the 23 laps that day in that 17-meter pool that proved to me that I was more than what I was giving myself credit for. And then the 75 Hard, that has just, I think, affirmed in me that if I put my mind to it, there's nothing I can't do.
In September 2023, she took the next step. Neha signed up for her first swimming competition.
24th of September last year is when I swam competitively for the first time ever. I swam Olympic 1.5K. I did not expect to even finish 4th. I was just hoping to finish.
That medal was proof of how far she'd come and how much further she could still go.
The competition at the end of the day, no matter where you are, is with yourself. And I just sort of started to set higher goals for myself, mostly because I wanted to see how much I could push the envelope and just being a better version of myself. And I think that's what kind of kept me going. And I just kept knocking them off one after the other. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence to just set tougher goals.
One of these new goals was attending a MySwimPro swim camp. So in April 2024, she flew to Greece to spend the next 5 days with 20 other swimmers who shared the same passion for the water and the eagerness to improve.
So day one was very humbling, I'll be honest with you, because as I saw that video analysis and I was like, oh my God, that's what I look like. And here I thought in my head, I swam like a mermaid. Well, there you go, right? But I think the fact that there are 2 workouts a day allow you that time to really reflect on what you learned in the morning and see how you wanna sort of apply it in the afternoon session. But then also, that's the ammunition I need to get back into my pool. Keep checking off that list, take it back into when I continue swimming at home.
And as it happened when she swam 23 laps, Neha's mindset changed. She realized where she had gotten herself into and all the value she could take from this experience. And I'm not talking about money.
I think when I started, I was like, worst case scenario, I'll come back with like a few helpful tips and like a whole lot of fun. But I think that has shifted in my head now, because every time I get into the pool, every time we do a drill, I'm being very intentional about it. I'm being very sort of focused. It's a great foundation to go back and say, okay, what was I taught and how can I do it? And let me do it one side and let me do it the other side. And so it's a really great foundation. There's so much patience and there's such keen observation. Like, it's value for money, you're getting better, right?
Right. And she was not only improving her technique, she met some amazing people too.
The thread that binds us all together is the same. It does not feel like boot camp. So for anyone who wants to do the camp, it's not boot camp, it's a vibe. Firstly, like, everyone's been so genuine, a very nurturing environment. It's very inclusive. And when especially the coaches see you struggle, they will have that sort of one-on-one conversation. And that's the same thing with people that are swimming in the lanes with you. So it doesn't feel like a you against somebody else, but more just a very inclusive, supportive environment.
And speaking about support, Neha's family is the best when it comes to supporting her new passion for the water.
I mean, the fact that my husband said, you've got to go for this. And my dad has been texting me all the time saying, are you having fun? Send me pictures. And I was FaceTiming my mom today and she was like, are you having fun? Show me around. That whole ecosystem shows up for me. Funny story, when I got married about 16 years ago, I discovered my husband and I used to swim in the same pool. And I remember this really tan boy who was always trying to be the first one in the pool. And years later, I ended up marrying him.
Those carefree days in the water were just the beginning, but it would take decades, 2 children, and a life-changing swim session to awaken the swimmer inside her.
When you hear like this constant murmur in your head and you get into the water and all you hear is the bubbles and your own breathing, and then it all just sort of falls away. The noise drowns out. And that to me that's what swimming is.
Neha's journey began with a single swim, 1 lap, then 2, then 23, and eventually a complete lifestyle transformation that started by showing up. So take the first lap, start small, show up for yourself, because you never know how far you'll go. And if Neha's story inspired you, check the link in the description so we can help you get there too. The first step in your journey might be just 1 swim away.